Welcome to day 5 of Wildfire. Chapter 27, Snake Lightning. The heat storm is so close there's no delay between the flashes and the booming thunder. It's like we're inside the lightning. The flashes turn the canvas walls transparent, cracking brighter and brighter, and I expect that any second a sizzling bolt will hit us directly and the deer stand will explode. I want to tell Delphi not to be afraid, but I'm so scared to talk. She grabs my hand and squeezes so hard, I think she's going to break it. The trees are shivering all around us as if they are as terrified as we are. There's no wind or rain, just hot, humid air, alive with electricity. Mighty bolts crack open the early morning sky, thumping the earth like hammer blows. A bolt strikes close by with a crackling boom that could be the world splitting open, so loud my ears hurt. A tree groans and splinters and falls, crashing into more trees on the way down. We see the hot glowing sparks of it burning from the inside. We've been running away from the fire, putting miles between it and us, but now it has found us. The deer stand begins to shake and rumble as more falling trees brush by. Delphi shouts, "We better get out of here." I'm about to slide the aluminum ladder to the ground when the hair lifts on my head. My scalp tingles in a strange way, and I drop the ladder just as everything goes sunblaze white. A bolt snakes down the tree right next to us and explodes into the ground with the sound of a million M80s going off at exactly the same moment. The tree roots begin to glow and smolter like fiery finger bones. If I'd been holding the ladder, the lightning might have gone through me on the way to the ground. Delphi is standing up, shaking her fist at the sky and screaming, "Stop! Stop!" I try to pull her down, but she's stronger than me and more angry at the thing that scares her. On the floor, I beg her, "That's the safest place. Keep a low profile." I'm not sure if it really is the safest place, but raising a fist to a lightning bolt has got to be more dangerous than lying flat on your face with your hands protecting your ears. Let it stop, please. Make it go away. And after what feels like an eternity, it does go away, rumbling off into the distance, heading for the fire line as if it wants to join in the fun of burning down the forest. Delphi, face to the floor, says, "Is it safe? Are we alive?" "Yeah, we made it, but there's one little problem. The ladder fell to the ground. I dropped it." She slowly shakes her head as if to say, "What next?" I lean out of the opening into a whiff of smoke from the smoldering roots. Ground is about 10 feet below. If I were to jump, there's a chance I'd sprain or break both ankles. Instead, I get down on my belly, carefully lower myself from the platform until I'm hanging on by my clenched hands. So, according to my semi panic calculations, the ground is about 5 feet or less beneath my dangling feet. I let go, landing feet first in the layer of pine needles, and then tumble over backwards. It hurts, but nothing is broken. I limp over to the ladder, lean it up against the opening. Delphi peers down at me. "You're crazy, you know that?" "No choice," I say, feeling good about my decision. I hold the ladder as she descends. I can tell her ankle hurts as she puts weight on it, but she doesn't complain. She fusses around until she finds her walking stick and looks back up at the tree stand. "Sam, we need to get out of here, like right now." I look up. The canvas walls of the deer stand have caught fire. Our refuge is going up in flames. The fire is already spreading. Not fast, not yet, but it will grow and feed on itself, tree by root by tree, and within an hour or two, it will become a new full-scale wildfire. We're hurrying to the Jeep when Delphi says, "What's that smell?" "Probably me." "Not a boy smell," she says, puzzled. "More like a zoo." Her dark, shining eyes get big and round. "Uh-oh." "Uh-oh what?" I say. But then I see it, rising up in the back seat. A black bear, looking at me like he's starving and eyeing breakfast. Chapter 28, The Only Way to Stay Alive. On my hikes with Dad, he explained what to do if I ever came across a bear. "The black bear is a complicated creature," he would say. In this part of the world, a full-grown bear has no real predators other than us. So if you meet one on a trail, don't run. It might chase you, and you can't outrun a bear. Hold your ground, and the bear will likely leave. Great advice if you happen to sight a bear in the woods or on a trail or even in your own backyard. but not in the vehicle you desperately need to escape from a smoldering fire that's going to burst into full-blown flames any second. Trying not to make any sudden or threatening moves, I whisper, Delphi, back up, slowly. We stop at about 20 yards away. The air is thickening with smoke. It doesn't want to leave. Delphi shifts her stick. It's scared, I think. The bear is upright in the back seat now, nodding its head back and forth, back and forth. Not full grown, but not a cub either. Probably scared, like Delphi says. Scared of the storm, scared of the fire, no cave or den for shelter, so it picked the Jeep. And scared is when a bear is most dangerous. Like Dad said, usually a bear will run away rather than confront a human. But if it doesn't, things can get ugly quick. I don't know what to do. Should we leave the Jeep and run? Then Delphi does something I never would have expected, or I'd try to stop her. She marches up to the Jeep and she uses her stick to press on the horn. She stands her ground, making the horn blare, and the bear bolts out of the back seat and scampers off into the woods away from the fire. Nice meeting you, Bear, she calls out, then climbs into the passenger seat waiting for me. I get in. That was really dangerous. She smiles, as pleased with herself as I was for jumping from the deer stand. Everything we do is dangerous. It's the only way to stay alive. We drive down the logging trail away from the smoke. The forest gets a little thinner and more of the sky is visible over our heads. The sunshine makes it even hotter, which hardly seems possible. The trail becomes straighter and we seem to be on a ridge with ground falling away on either side. Not exactly climbing a mountain, but on higher ground for sure. Everything is going really good until the engine sputters and dies. Out of gas. It finally happened. Delphi doesn't say anything. We just sit there for a while, baking in the airless heat. We should be really upset, but for some reason we're not. Maybe the storm and the fire and the bear was all the upset we could handle. Shall we take a little walk? Delphi suggests. She slings her backpack over her shoulder, gets a good grip on her walking stick, and off we go, following the logging trail. No way am I going back in the woods, even if it isn't quite so dense. The trail curves slightly to the right. For a while, it keeps level and then starts to head down. We both see it at the same time, glittering through the trees, a long blue lake. Chapter 29, The Bell. We work our way down the wooded slope to the curving shoreline. Delphi drops her walking stick and backpack. She keeps going right into the water and doesn't stop until she's waist high. You have to do it, Sam, she says, waving me to join her. It's amazing. I cast a wary eye for water snakes, but they like muddy bottoms and weeds, and this is clear and sandy, too inviting to resist. I don't go in as deep as Delphi, not being as tall, but after days on the run in the constant heat, the cool, clear water is like heaven. I bend my knees and sink down, holding my breath as my head goes under. Amazing is right. I come up spouting. Delphi smooths the wet hair out of her eyes. Where's the camp? She says. Which way? I close my eyes and picture what I saw from the top of the tree. That way, I point, somewhere along this shore. Is it far? I don't know. A few miles, maybe less. We slog out of the water. I start to shake myself dry, and Delphi goes, Hey, wait, my beach towel. She pulls it out of the backpack and tosses it to me. You first. I rub down fast and hand it back. Not what I had in mind when I thought I was going for a midnight swim. Delphi, drying her hair, sounds almost cheerful. Jason Dean, you don't know what you missed. Should I tell her Jason Dean doesn't exist? No. I don't want to hurt her feelings. She's smart. She'll figure it out. I take off my shoes, I dry them on the grass, and I put them back on. Soggy, but tolerable. The only bad thing is the mosquitoes, but Delphi is in such a good mood, getting bit doesn't seem to bother her. Take a sip, everybody. She holds out her arms out to the bugs. Come one, come all. You're crazy. Crazy happy. There is a difference. We prepare ourselves for a long hike, but the camp is much closer than I thought. Around the next bend, we come upon a curved notch of shoreline with a white sandy beach and volleyball courts. Back from the lake is big, white shingled building with two huge stone chimneys, one on each end. Along the edge of the lake are a dozen or so smaller buildings similar to the cabins at Camp Wabanansky. Hello, I shout, anybody home? Silence. As to be expected, the place was evacuated. We work our way around the main building, still shouting in case somebody stayed behind, and located the entrance, which was a big banner strung across the porch roof. Marvel Lake Survival Skills Camp. Building strength, character, and endurance. Delphi shakes her head, laughing. Just my luck. A survival camp. They probably eat nuts and berries. There's a dining hall inside. I'm peering through the window. Check it out. Maybe you can find a phone. I'll look for a road. You want me to do the breaking and entering? Is that it? She sounds amused. I try the latch. No breaking required. I swing open the unlocked door for her and turn to go. As I head out to look for a road, she cautions me. Be careful. Always. I won't be long. A neatly landscaped gravel drive runs off into the woods heading uphill. Could be several miles to a paved road, but I want to get some idea of what we're up against. It's really great we found the camp, which means shelter and water and probably food, even if it's nuts and berries. But there's a tinge of smoke in the air, and we can't be that many miles from the spreading lightning fire, or for that matter, from the main fire line behind it. So the camp is temporary shelter at best. I start out jogging along the gravel road, hoping I can find some gasoline in the camp and a way to get the Jeep down from the logging trail. The lawns are mowed, so they must have power mowers, right? Unless survival camp means push mowers, which is possible. No, don't think that way. Be positive, one thing at a time. See where the gravel road goes and then worry about the Jeep. I jog uphill for a mile or so in the crushing heat, sweat pouring into my eyes, until I get this pain in my side that feels like a knife shoved into my ribs. I rest for a bit, bent over and panting, and the pain eases. Okay, so I'm not exactly a track star. And I'm thinking maybe I don't want to get too far along the gravel road, not just yet. What if I get cut off by the fire and Delphi on one side of the flames, me on the other? It's when I turn to go back that I notice the sign. Must have missed it with my eyes full of sweat. A little arrow-shaped sign nailed to a tree. Hand-painted, but easy to read. State Road 12B, 7.2 miles. State Road 12B, no clue as to where it might lead, but chances are it will be a real road, paved road. It has to go somewhere that's populated, or the state wouldn't bother building a road, right? Somewhere with people, that's all that matters. I'm walking briskly when a bell begins to ring, like the shimmering bong of a church bell, but that can't be it. Maybe it's an emergency signal. Maybe Delphi's in trouble. I start running. Chapter 30, In Case of Fire. Turns out to be a dinner bell, not an emergency signal. Delphi noticed the rope hanging in the corner of the dining room and rang the bell to let me know there's enough food in the pantry to last a year at least. 10 kinds of cereal, 5 kinds of cookies, canned goods galore in big restaurant cans, vegetables, meats, soups, sauces, at least 5 dozen eggs, flour and cornmeal, baking powder, and tons of ingredients to make stuff. No electricity. I don't think this place has any, but the stoves and refrigerators run on propane, and they have a huge tank of propane out back, so we're good there. Fridge is packed with gallon jugs of milk, at least 10 pounds of butter, trays of Jell-O, blocks of processed cheese, all that, but no phone? She shakes her head and sighs. We're out in the middle of nowhere, no landlines, and like I said, no electricity. The lamps use oil, I think. They're not kidding about being into survival. We're in the dining hall, which looks like it could seat 50 or so, easy with the soaring cathedral roof made out of hand-carved wood beams and very cool stone fireplaces on opposite walls, and a view of the long, narrow lake that shoots out from the beach like blue arrow aimed at the horizon. It's a grand room, way better than the dining area at Camp Wabananski and a bit cooler than outside. My guess, the camp caters to out-of-state families with kids who need a little toughening up or who want an adventure. Cold water showers, Delphi already checked, and lots of activities like hiking, climbing, and learning to live off the land. So Delphi had it right when she said nuts and berries. Not that anybody's going hungry, not when they're eating in this dining hall, that's for sure. But the no electricity setup makes me wonder, because summer camps have to be able to alert the authorities or call for an ambulance. At this location, probably by air, if one of the kids gets seriously ill or injured, right? When I mention this to Delphi, she goes, cell phones? Maybe, I say, but way out here, where are the cell towers? Smoke signals? That makes me grin. Ha ha. I'm thinking maybe some kind of two-way emergency radio, the kind you can talk on. Maybe a police radio kind of deal. They knew enough to evacuate, right? Well, that makes sense. Okay, if it was you in charge, where would you keep the emergency radio? She thinks about it. The office? I saw a room that could be the office out by the main entrance. She leads me to it. And I agree, this has to be the camp office. A wooden desk, a big swivel chair, several filing cabinets, and knotty pine walls plastered with photographs of kids on survival trips, whitewater rafting, canoe portaging, rock climbing with helmets and harnesses and complicated looking ropes. The kids look happy to be working so hard. Most are pumping fists in the air. There's a good sized map pinned to the corkboard. Marvel Lake Survival Skills Camp is marked on the map with a red star, and it shows the access road connecting to the state road, just like the sign said. It also shows we're about as far to the north and west as you can get and still be in Maine. I point to the star and say, that's why the only station we can pick up is WRPZ. We're pretty much in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by mountains. Mountains that are burning, Delphi reminds me. Tinder dry forest, wildfires. I'd rather not think about it, but there's no getting away from the fact that a clock is ticking. We have to find a way to get rescued or rescue ourselves before the fire finds us. We search everywhere. The shelves are packed with books about birds and wildlife, but there's no sign of a two-way police radio. Delphi opens all the desk drawers, no electronics, but she finds an instruction manual for a satellite phone. I slump into the swivel chair, exasperated. That's how they make contact, a satellite phone. Probably took it with them when they evacuated. Definitely. Delphi looks as disappointed as I feel. It's okay. I'm trying to sound upbeat. Back to plan A. We're only 7 miles from a paved road. If I can find some gas and a way to get the Jeep over the gravel road, we can be back in civilization in an hour. She brightens. Seriously? If you can't find any gas, I can walk 7 miles if I have to. I don't care how much it hurts if it'll get us home. Let's find some gas. Hiking 7 miles on a sprained ankle is a bad idea. What if the fire catches up and crosses the gravel road before we get there? No way to outrace a fire on foot. If it comes to that, we might be better off staying right where we are in case a fire jump in the lake and hope smoke doesn't kill us. Where do we start? She asked. With fuel of our own. Did you say there are 5 kinds of cookies? After eating cookies plus a couple of pre-made salami sandwiches we find in the big refrigerators, Delphi even located some ballpark mustard. I swear it's the best sandwich I've ever had in my life. It's down to business. The search for gasoline, which we absolutely need to make an escape. When I ask her to take it easy and rest her ankle, Delphi gives me an "Are you crazy?" look, props herself on her stick, and swings down the steps into the lawn. You take that side, I'll take this one, she says. We're looking for sheds and storage areas, right? And lawn mowers and chainsaws and weed whackers, like that. They all need gas. I remember seeing some storage units next to one of the cabins before heading to check it out. I study the horizon to the east, beyond the far end of the lake. I don't want Delphi to worry about it too much, but for the last hour or so, gray clouds have been edging up over the horizon. Are they storm clouds or distant smoke? Rain or fire? Can't be sure, one way or another. Whatever they are, they seem to be slowly creeping closer. Chapter 31, Another Great Thing. Delphi is so into it, I'm almost sorry it's me who finds the gasoline. 20 gallons neatly lined up in red 5-gallon plastic containers with spouts and funnels, fuel for a big professional mowing machine housed in the shed. She hobbles in, sees me beaming, and goes, Is that enough? Enough for 200 miles. We can drive all the way home on this amount. I thought you said it was only 7 miles. 7 to a paved road. Not sure how far it is to getting rescued, but this will get us there, I promise. She folds her arms across her chest. Today? Yes, today. If I can find a way to connect the Jeep up to the gravel road. She shakes her head amused. If there's one thing I've been learning in the last few days, it's that you always find a way. You go, I'll pack up whatever supplies I can scrounge, and then when you get back here, zoom, we're gone. What she said about me always finding a way makes me feel really good and gives me the energy to start lugging a 5-gallon can up the slope to the logging trail, panting and sweating and keeping an eye out on the way for a path big enough for the Jeep. The slope is okay for walking, but there are parts too steep for any vehicle, even a sturdy Jeep. I'm being super careful because the Jeep is our only hope of escape. The fire may not be moving very fast today, with the wind so calm, but it's getting closer. I can feel it. I can smell it. I know it in my bones. I finally haul the heavy container up to the logging trail, and there's the Jeep, waiting patiently. Okay, I'm aware it's only a hunk of steel and it doesn't have a mind of its own and it can't be waiting patiently, but I feel like we're connected somehow. Me and that machine. From the very first, when we sped away from the flames at the logging camp and I barely knew how to steer, it's like the machine was taking care of me, like it had been waiting for a chance to save my life. Delphi isn't there to hear me being weird, so as I pour gas into the tank, me and the Jeep have a one-sided conversation. Once we get rescued, you'll have to go back to your real owner. I know that, but maybe he'll let me visit. And when I'm old enough to get a driver's license, maybe I'll save enough. Maybe I'll save up enough to buy you. Would that be okay? In my head, the Jeep says yes, which is just me saying yes, but still, it makes me feel better. Without uh, without this brave little machine made for a soldier in a long ago war, me and Delphi would be dead for sure. So forgive me if I get all mushy about it. On second thought, I don't care what anybody thinks. That Jeep is my friend. Get used to it. With 5 gallons in the tank, the Jeep is good to go. It starts right up, and I slowly steer along the rutted logging trail, searching for a place where we can cross down the slope to Camp Survival. Sounds like it should be easy, but it isn't. Everywhere I look, it seems to be either too steep and rocky or too thick with trees. I can't risk getting stuck halfway down, can't risk making a mistake. This is our chance, this hunk of steel and tires, and every instinct tells me I have to treat it like it's made of glass. It may be tough and reliable, but things can go wrong in an instant. The old logging trail slowly curves down toward the lake. There are few trees blocking the way to camp. The main building is clearly visible through the thinning trees, and beside it, the gravel road, maybe a quarter mile away. So close. I get out and I explore on foot, no problem navigating around the trees or avoiding the boulders strewn through this part of the forest. The problem is right at the end, where the woodlands meet the camp lawn. There's about a 4 foot drop over a steep, rocky ledge. No way to get past that without ripping out the bottom of the Jeep and breaking an axle. Duffy sees me exploring along the edge and lops over, swinging on her stick. She's excited to see the Jeep so near, just a little ways uphill through the trees. I put together a bunch of supplies, food and water and stuff, and if you must know, more TP, just in case the road is long. Great, I say without much enthusiasm. What's wrong? This is as close as the logging trail gets to the camp, I explained, discouraged. Beyond this, it starts to curve away up into the hills. So the Jeep has to cross over in this area somehow, except I don't know how. Delphi swings along on her walking stick, examining the rocky ledge. I see what you mean. The only way down is to build a ramp. Great, I say. I'll fire up the bulldozer. Oh, wait, we don't have a bulldozer. Delphi sees the look on my face and laughs. We don't need a bulldozer, silly. We just need an inclined plane. Is that another ancient Greek thing? As a matter of fact, yes, by the way of Egypt. What scares you most? Chapter 32. Over the next few hours, as we pry a couple of long, sturdy planks over the walkway to the dock, drag them across the lawn, and prop them on the ledge, then we roll a bunch of rocks into place under the middle of the planks for support. On paper, an inclined plane is just a few pencil lines. In the real world, building one takes time and tons of sweat, especially when it's so miserably hot. Delphi explains how some of the pyramids were constructed. They hauled giant limestone blocks up very long inclined planes. Took them 20 years and thousands of laborers. And this comes from your grandfather? She laughs. I saw it on the History Channel. I collapsed on the lawn, exhausted. The sun is about to dip below the tree line, and we both understood that inching the Jeep down the slope and into the planks will have to wait until morning. It's not a thing that can be done in the dark or when we're too tired to think straight. First thing, right? First thing, before I quit, I'm going to bring up the rest of the gas and fill the tank, just in case. In case of what? Delphi asked, uneasy. Just in case. When that last tank is done and the Jeep has a full tank with an extra can to spare, I unplug the distributor wire like before, because you never know, and no spark means no steel. I'm so tired it feels like there are 10-pound weights around my ankles, and I trudge back to the dining hall. We used wooden matches to light a couple of the oil lanterns and munch on some more cookies and drain glasses of cold milk. Not exactly a balanced meal. Delphi smiles, her eyes bright. At Calusa, we had to earn dessert by exercising. You just exercised enough to build a small pyramid. I guess I did, didn't I? Who knew? I totally hate gym, but when I really have to, I can move a 2-ton Jeep, mostly with your brain. You figure things out. She mock punches me in the arm. We're a pretty good team. Yep. A toast to us, little brother. She clinks her glass of milk to mine. To getting home tomorrow. Tomorrow. Delphi fishes through her backpack and takes out the little hand crank radio. Maybe there's news about the fire, news about the world. She works the crank, charging the battery, and when she pushes the on button, what do you know? WRPZ comes through loud and clear. Almost sounds like the DJ is in the dining hall with us, sharing milk and cookies while he tells us about his day. No idea who might be in range of my voice, because, like I said, the broadcast radius of this little station is much reduced. The main power lines are down and we're running on backup generator. I say we, but it's only me, your host, Fat Freddie Bell. And to be honest, I wouldn't be trapped here if I didn't drain all the gas from my car to power the generator, which is just about to run out of fuel anyhow. Bonehead move. I'm surrounded, folks, fire on every side, and nobody trying to stop it. Not that I'm complaining. Our brave firefighters are concentrating on the populated areas to the south, where the flames have consumed part of Belfast, Belmont, and Waldo, resulting in fatalities for civilians and firefighters alike. So it looks like I'm stuck here at 601 feet above groove level until the fires burn out. And if I don't make it, I just want everyone to know, my listeners, my friends, my late wife in heaven, everybody, that it's been a blast sharing my favorite tunes and connecting with listeners. I loved every minute of it. I'm the luckiest man in the world, and who knows, maybe my luck will hold. This is Fat Freddie Bell, high atop the lowest official mountain in the great state of Maine, signing off. We're left with only our own silence to fill the room. Delphi wipes her eyes with the side of her hand. Poor guy, he sounded scared. Somebody is bound to hear him and go to his rescue. I hope so. Something the DJ said really shakes me. All this time, I'd been worried about me and Delphi getting burned up. But it turns out the fire is eating towns and cities, not just forest. Belfast, Belmont, Waldo. Fat Freddie didn't mention Portland, where my mom is in rehab. But I can't help worrying about maybe she's in danger too. For the last few days, it seemed like the fire was concentrating on us, but it sounds like there's a lot more going on that we don't know about. Like the whole state is up in flames. Delphi has this expression on her face, like she knows what I'm thinking and shares my concern. Can I ask you a question, Sam? Sure. I dread what she might ask. What scares you the most? Chapter 33, Stuff to Worry About. That's not fair. So I'll go first. Delphi takes a deep breath and then she blurts out, I'm scared I'll never stop growing. Seriously? Silly, I know. Most girls stop growing by the time they're 15, and I'm almost 15, and I haven't grown recently, so I'm worried about nothing, probably. What's the big deal if you get a little taller? She sighs. A little would be okay, I guess, but I had this nightmare that I was so tall my head was bumping the ceiling. I was like 8 feet tall. Everybody was staring at me and whispering behind my back. It was awful. When I woke up, I was afraid to get out of bed in case my head bumped. I'm not sure how to answer, so I go, wow, and then shut up. For some reason, that makes her laugh. Don't worry, Sam. You don't have to tell me your greatest fear just because I told you mine. That was unfair, putting you on the spot. Her eyes are so sad and kind that something breaks inside of me, and I find myself gushing the truth. I'm afraid my mother's going to die of an overdose. Delphi's jaw drops. Oh, Sam, no, that's terrible. The only other person who has any idea of what I really worry about is Mrs. Labrie from Child Services, so it's kind of a relief saying it out loud. When I wake up in the morning, I'm scared of finding her dead in her bed or in the bathroom. When I'm in school, I'm afraid of what I'll find when I get home. That really sucks. I'm so sorry. That's why I was at Camp Wabanansky, so Mom could get treatment. She wants to quit, really she does, but it's really, really hard, like the hardest thing in the world. That's what Mom said. She's sick and in pain, and her whole body aches for the medicine. She says the medicine is like a giant magnet, and she's an iron filing. And she says most addicts don't make it the first time they quit. Delphi reaches across the table, covers my hands with hers. I'll bet you anything she does. You're strong, smart kid, and at least half of that comes from your mother, right? Right. You know what's really dumb? Delphi says brightly. Here we are in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by a deadly forest fire, and what do we worry about? Stuff we can't control, when really the only thing we should worry about right now is how to stay alive. How do we get home? Big questions. I wish I knew the answers. I wait on the front porch while Delphi goes to take a cold shower. Figure I'll take one tomorrow morning before we get to work on moving the Jeep. Besides, it gives me a chance to be alone for a few minutes when I can maybe organize my thoughts and get my head straight. Also, keep an eye on the far end of the lake, making sure nothing flares or sparks. So far, so good. The usual scent of distant smoke, but nothing lighting up the darkness, not yet. Delphi returns from her shower, sounding disappointed. I thought cool water would cool me down, right? But as soon as I dried off, I was sweating again. Can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm looking forward to winter. Totally. Give me ice and snow. The neat thing about being the only two people in a camp made for at least 50 plus staff is that we each get a cabin to ourselves. Real beds with sheets and mattresses and pillows. We choose cabins close to the lake. Great view. Not that we can see very much on a moonless, starless night. All we can really make out carrying our oil lanterns is the path that goes from the main building to the cabins. Delphi's cabin is called Fortitude. Mine is called Endurance. Real cozy, Delphi says, sarcastic as she holds her lantern up to the sign. Must be like a message to inspire the campers. This is what you need to survive. What I need is a good night's sleep, she yawns. First thing tomorrow, we get the Jeep down the incline, load it up, and head back to civilization. Part of me is almost sorry, you know? Not me, I'm ready. You know what I've been thinking about when I'm not being scared to death? A cheeseburger with a vanilla shake. First stop, okay? Deal. We say our good nights and we go to our cabins. Inside, I have my choice of bunks, and I pick the one that's the most neatly made. I lie face down, expecting to fall asleep in an instant, but my head is swirling with a million thoughts. It's like I'm too tired to sleep, which doesn't make any sense. I turn the oil lantern off and sit on the edge of the bunk in the dark, thinking about my mom and my dad, and how Delphi, who seems like part of the family somehow, now everything keeps swirling out of reach, and I keep grabbing at it, but I can't hold on. It's so hard not to worry about things you can't possibly control. Mrs. Labrie says that's what life is all about, learning how to deal with stuff you can't control. She's probably right, but that doesn't make it any easier. Not when I feel like I ran a marathon, swam the English Channel, and built the pyramids all in one day, and still I can't sleep. I get up in the dark and I walk to the window, and there it is. A faint glow on the night horizon, maybe 10 miles away. Fire on the other side of the mountains. I finally fall asleep praying that the wind will change and blow the fire out like a candle on a birthday cake. Thanks for listening.